Alrighty, we have plywood and we have some 2x4 and we got it all cut down. And I'm not gonna go into how you actually get this wood cut down. All I can tell you is make sure you do it safe. If you're using a table saw or a skill saw, do it properly, you know, because you can get really, really hurt doing this stuff. Even though you're making a crate, which seems pretty basic, it's a 6-sided box, that's all we're going for, but you can still get hurt doing any of these things, okay? With that, we need to figure out what are we putting in the box. Or in this, we'll call it a crate, call it a box. We're putting the family photos in there today. So I have my mother, my aunt and uncle, and then myself, around 6 or 7 years old. So it's, you know, it's got some age on it. These are original photographs, so they're really important to me. And all this means is you're packing up a thing. It doesn't always have to be some big crazy piece of artwork. This is really important to me. And what better way to give a crating demo than to use something that's near and dear. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started. We're gonna make a crate for Mama here, okay? So she is gonna get put in her own private little box. Need their own nice comfort zone. You gotta take care of Mama Dukes first, always. And it will be a crate that rides upright like this, as opposed to a ride flat, okay? And it's going to open in the front as well. These 2 pieces of wood, front, back. These 4 pieces of wood are your sides and ends. And the way these overlap is very important. If you get these 2 mixed up, they will not work. So this goes like that. And you see how we have a little bit of room there? Alrighty. Now what's the first problem is that my pieces are incorrectly laid out. And trust me, I've done this way too many times, so I need you to know that if you put this here and it's not lining up, that means it doesn't belong there. That one, however, fits perfectly. And that's where you go like that, and then like that. You see I have a little bit left there, the other 3/4 inch piece of wood. Keep an eye on this. You screw this up and you go like that, you're taking it off and you're doing it all over again. Now you're gonna need your staple gun. In this instance, I'm going to use 1 1/4 staples. You don't have to use the staples, but it helps. See how I line that up? Got that nice and flush? Give it a pop. All right. Okay, now she's talking. All right, you can always double check to make sure you have the correct piece of wood. Now we're gonna just go in and get this all popped together. This is the beginning of your box, okay? All 6 sides have now been assembled. This is there. This is the baseline, okay? You could put some screws on this and ship it out. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're in a bind and this is all you can get to, this is sufficient, okay, for certain applications. Now that we put all the staples in, we're gonna grab our screws. 2-inch screws here and here on these sides, because this is where most of the weight's gonna be. Alrighty, and these are gonna be going to work. What we're not doing is putting a lot of screws in here. And then on the back, 1 5/8. Like how I grab the right amount of screws? That's because I'm a professional. Now we're all screwed together, looking pretty good. Now we're gonna put the lid on. When you put the lid on, this is the side that's gonna open. This is how you're going to actually access the contents inside of the crate. So you're not gonna staple it, you're gonna screw it. And when you screw, do something in the corner and then something in the middle. All right, go about 2 inches from each corner and then throw one in the middle. That's because this guy is so tiny. All right, typically you wanna go 8 to 12 inches or something like that in between each one. But because again, this is so tiny, we're gonna do corners and middles. Alrighty, and we'll figure out what that is. So I'm gonna go 2 inches. And using the 1 5/8 screws, I'm gonna pop this thing on now. Always start in the corners and with the shorter side. You see how I get the little wiggle? Then you just pull it over like that. And you hear me say a lot in these videos, you want it tight. You want to tighten that up, all right? And that's how we're gonna get it. All right, good. And more and more like that guy every day, isn't it? It's almost there, okay? It goes together real fast too, if you do all your prep work. Now we're gonna put these corners on. I like to put these corners on. These are the things that can just give it that extra bit to go a little longer, because you're not handling this. That means a shipper is gonna come and pick it up. And a lot of shippers like to throw things, or drop them, or kick them. And usually when something gets thrown, or kicked, or bumped, the impact goes to the corner. So you put a little extra here, and it goes a long way. So this thing can go to Japan and back, and the corners will be all beat to hell. But everything in here is looking pretty good. And that's what this is. These are our corners. Before we do it though, these are all butt joints. Butt joints, when you just take the wood and you put it together just like that. But that butt joint leaves a seam. So you put the first one there like that to cover that, and then you go like that. And it's always a process of covering that seam. Okay, and that's the only real thing that needs to be discussed here at this. And I'll get back to popping. And what I'm looking at when I look at the plywood is which side looks pretty. Because there's a pretty side and there's an ugly side to the plywood. And if you're gonna go out and make yourself a crate, try and make it look pretty. So when you get a crate and someone put this on there, you can say, you use the ugly side of the plywood. Ask for a discount or something for using the ugly side. Or at least just say, why didn't you use the pretty side like Jamil did? All right, it's getting there. Which side do you want to be the top and which side do you want to be the bottom? Mace.
That side.
This is the top? You got it. All right. With that, these are the skids. That's what it rides on. The reason I asked that, because now I'm going to drill these on. And once you put these on, this determines the orientation of the crate, okay? Up until this point, this crate can be a ride flat, it can be open this way, it can be this way, alrighty? And if it's like this, these things are going to go like that. Or it can go like this, okay? Or it can go like that, alrighty? So up until this point, as long as you haven't put those cleats on there yet, or skids, that's the riding edge. That's the side that's gonna touch the ground. Alrighty. I don't remember which side you said, but since it's pretty much the same either way, we're gonna say this is the side that you want the skids on. Almost forgot. You always want glue on your skids. Why glue? Because skids like to come off. Because shippers like to drag crates. And they're dragging your crate all around, and that little bit of wood glue on there will just help keep this thing intact. Crate. You can see we're almost there, alrighty? This crate almost looks like that one, except for some handles and a few other things. One big thing to note, we use dimensional lumber on this, so actual 2x4s. On this one, I use plywood. That's why I say this is probably the crate that most of you may end up trying to do, if you're gonna DIY it. And there's a reason. Any dimensional lumber you purchase has that thing right there on it, and that's an international bug stamp, okay? That lets everybody who's gonna who's gonna hold or see this piece of wood that it has been heat treated. If you're using scrap pieces like I've done here, it no longer has that stamp on it. So if you are gonna be shipping and building crates for international shipment, you need to go to somebody who will come to your facility and check your lumber to make sure you are purchasing only heat treated material. It's very important, okay? If you don't, and you ship this thing to anywhere overseas, Switzerland, the Swiss will definitely throw it out, okay? They're real tight over there, at least they can be, all right? So imagine I got my mom's photograph in this nice box and I don't have a bug stamp anywhere and I just give it to them. They have every right to refuse this box at customs, wherever it's going. And sometimes they can destroy it. And that would be very, very unfortunate and super bad. And all because that little thing right there is missing. I have one because I'm a shipper. And if you're gonna be doing this, either contact a shipper or try to figure out ways to get around it. And by all means, these things change all the time. So do your research if you're gonna be shipping out your own crates, okay? Now we're gonna put the handles on. So typically when you put the handles, you're gonna put it on the sides, okay? Don't do something silly like this. That just makes no sense, all right? You don't want screws going to the face of whatever it is you're putting the crate around, all right? You don't wanna put them here either. This just doesn't make any sense. This is what's logical, okay? And in fact, on a little dinky crate like this, it doesn't really matter where they go. You really want your handle to be about 2 feet off the ground. If you look at other crates, you measure up from the ground about to middle of that handle or the bottom, it's gonna be around 2 feet. But because this crate here isn't even 2 feet, it doesn't matter. Just put it somewhere that it looks good, not goofy. And don't do this, none of this country stuff. Don't do that either, that's just silly. Cool. Now we're there. Only thing left to do, open it up and start the inside process. But as far as a crate build, this is it. So if you have any questions, go back in the video, rewind it, look at it again, follow the steps, okay? It's really simple and it goes together really, really fast as long as you've taken some time to get all your measurements well, have all your material and your tools, and then you're ready to go, all right?